All right, I've heard you guys loud and clear. It's time for a tour. What's going on, everyone? Back with another episode of Stuff and Things. It is episode 400, and I figured since a lot of you guys were asking questions about the van, this would be an appropriate episode to give you guys a full tour of everything that I have going on here. If you're new to the channel, my name is Talon. I make new videos every week on a wide variety of stuff, so if you are new here, consider clicking subscribe. Now, this whole van series, the Stuff and Things on the road project, whatever you want to call it, it's off to a great start so far. I have a lot of stuff planned coming up soon, and I'm kind of easing my way into it. I haven't been on many huge trips just yet, but there will be some big ones coming up very soon. I wanted to kind of kick off this series by giving you guys a walk around of the outside of the van, talk about all of the details, features, and things like that. I'll also talk about why I went this route as opposed to some others, and I know there are going to be a ton of questions on a lot of this stuff. So you can definitely expect follow-up videos of like all of the gear that I have loaded out in here, how I have it set up to do certain things. I'll even do some more technical, in-depth videos on all of the different systems inside of this thing because there's a lot of them. And if you have questions on anything else, please let me know in the comments down below. I will try to answer them, and if your question is a frequently asked one, I will make an FAQ section down in the description. So if you're curious about something, check that out first, and then if not, let me know and I will try to answer it as best as possible. So let's get right into this thing. What is it? It is a Winnebago Revel. This is a lot more than just a Sprinter van. This is actually a Class B RV. If you're unfamiliar with the different classifications, basically it is the shortest wheelbase of the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, and then Winnebago outfits basically everything else from the driver's seat back. I decided to go this route instead of actually buying a Sprinter van and then converting it because I really needed a lot of functionality. There were a lot of things that I wanted to see inside of a van. There were a couple different deciding factors when I was actually looking at the base vehicle or the chassis of the van that I wanted. And one of the main things was I needed it to be four-wheel drive, and I preferred a little bit of a lift, which obviously you guys can tell this thing is always up in the mountains. Now, luckily, someone in my family has been in the RV industry for over 30 years, so I had some great contacts there. I actually went to an RV dealer when I decided that this was kind of the route that I wanted to go. I took all of the keys and then I walked around the lot looking at all of the Class B type of vans. At the time when I was looking to buy, there really wasn't anything out there that met my criteria with the ground clearance and the four-wheel drive. Everything else is obviously a little bit more road friendly and more of an RV than this thing actually is. This to me is more like a gear hauler. So I talked with the salesman and then he kind of introduced me to these. I looked around all over the country. I was very ready to fly somewhere to get one for the best price possible. And luckily I found one on the East Coast here at Colonial RV over in New Jersey. We talked back and forth on prices, and this is a 2019 Winnebago Revel. As I'm filming this video right now, these things are super hard to come by. They sold extremely fast because of the market that they're directed towards. Basically, people like myself. It's for like the outdoor adventure enthusiasts, extreme sports, like all sorts of things like that. So these vans were becoming more and more difficult to come by because dealers were getting rid of their old stock and they were preparing for the new ones to come in, which will probably be in around the end of summer. If I would have waited for the 2020 Revels to come out, there was going to be a price hike of about like $13,000 or something ridiculous like that, and I was happy with what this thing offered and I knew that it was perfect for me. Now, another reason why I went this Class B RV type of route is because I priced out buying the actual chassis, a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, with all of the options that this has, and then I priced it out with about 3 different companies that actually outfit these. And to get everything that the Revel offers me in a custom build van, it would have been far more expensive. Not only would that be more expensive, but at the same time, I'm not going to get that service from like an RV dealer, from Winnebago with all of their warranties, as well as Mercedes. For everything that I personally wanted and needed, this was absolutely the best route for me to go. I probably could have bought a Sprinter and then tried to outfit it myself, but then again, it's just myself. I'm definitely not going to get the quality that you get from Winnebago. Both Winnebago and Mercedes are some of the best, biggest names in the game right now, and they got a killer product here, so needless to say, I'm super stoked on it. I'll save more of that talk for later, but for now, let's talk about the actual chassis, the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter 4x4. The van itself is trimmed out with basically everything I need and probably even more than I need. It has all of the creature comforts like the blind spot detection, the auto lane assist, the auto headlights and windshield wipers, the backup camera. It's almost a fully loaded Sprinter. The only thing that it doesn't really have are leather seats, and that is actually something that I did not want. And then also the head unit or the infotainment center is very basic, but that's okay because for the most part, I do everything right here from my phone on Android Auto. Now, one thing you will notice right away is that this thing is large. This is a huge van. Obviously, it has room so you can stand up inside of here. That was definitely a big factor when purchasing something like this. I knew I was basically going to be living out it, in and out of it all the time, working in here, and I absolutely needed something where I could stand up in. I've talked with a lot of people who do travel around the country in vans and some people who actually live in them full time, and on multiple occasions I heard people say, man, if I could do it over again, I would definitely get something where I can stand up completely. So once we get inside of here, you will be able to tell that I can stand up. I'm a little less than 6 foot tall, but someone who is 6 foot, maybe even a little bit more, should have no problem standing up inside of here. Also on the outside of this van, you will notice that this thing is a little bit lifted because it is the 4x4 model and it does have Method wheels and BF Goodrich tires. If you've been on the channel before, you will know that this is very similar to the setup on my Crosstrek. That is actually not something that I had planned out. This is a factory option. When purchasing a Winnebago Revel like this, I actually have every single option on here. There aren't a whole lot to pick from, but I will go over those as we talk about them. One of them being a graphic delete kit. So on the outside, other than my big logo here, you can tell that this thing is pretty plain. Without the windows and the big pop-outs for the bed in the back, you probably really wouldn't be able to tell that this is outfitted like an RV. With the graphic package on here, it looks more like an RV, and obviously people will be able to tell that you're inside of here, so going this route makes it a little bit more stealthy, but at the same time, I'm really not trying to hide from anyone. Since this thing is pretty tall, they do have some nice running boards along the side here, and there are lights all over this van. I wish it was nighttime right now so I could show you all of the lighting options. You guys will definitely see that stuff here on the channel in the future, but overall, everything can be controlled from inside of the van. Now, coming around to the front of the van, one thing that is super convenient, and it actually comes on basically all of the Sprinter vans, is this front step right here in the front of the bumper. Obviously, this thing is super tall, and when you're driving hundreds or thousands of miles on the highway, you're gonna get a lot of bugs up there. So multiple times on my last road trip, when I probably put on like 3,500 miles or so, there were a few times where I had to get up here and clean the windshield. You simply hold on to the hood, stand right up here, and clean off whatever you need to do. That'll definitely be good for in the wintertime when it's snowing out there. If you need to scrape ice off of your windshield or anything like that, it's a huge plus, and it's not really an option, it's just there, a part of the van. Now, coming around to the driver's side of the van, as you can see, I have the windows popped open. That is a nice touch. Even if it's raining out here, I can keep these things open and the inside doesn't get too wet. Down here, just out of frame of the camera, is a little exhaust for the diesel heater. Another one of the huge deciding factors when going with the Revel, I needed something that was going to be a true 4-season unit. The insulation in this thing has been great. I haven't been in any super cold temperatures, probably about maybe the teens or the low 20s. But so far it's been awesome, super warm and cozy inside of there, no matter how cold it's been getting. And that is all thanks to that diesel furnace, but I will cover that in a more technical video, as well as some of the other things that you might see here. As we move back just a little bit, right here I have a city fill if you want to go to an RV campground type of hookup place. You can connect to water right there and then have unlimited water to run everything that is inside of here. This panel right here gives you access to the cassette for the cassette toilet on the inside. Yeah, there's like a whole bathroom in here. Having a system like this as opposed to a black tank that you actually have to drain out is super convenient, especially when you are off the grid, up in the mountains, and if you're looking for a more extended stay out in the wilderness, this is a super convenient route to go. Underneath here is also the gray water drain. There is a 21 fresh gallon tank and a 21 gray water tank, so basically it's just soapy water unless you're cooking in here, but we'll talk about that stuff some more once we get inside. And then finally, moving all the way back to this side, you have a 30 amp port. right here if you want to hook into an RV park or something like that. That is actually something that I have never used. I've had this van for about 2 months now, and it just stays charged with what you can see on the roof, and I'll take you guys up there right now. Actually, before we go up to the top, right on the bottom here, you will see that this does have a towing package. I believe you can tow up to 5,000 pounds, and there's a 500-pound tongue weight. That's something that I probably won't use a whole lot unless I decide to get a motorcycle hitch. Then I will just kind of put my bike right on the back there and hopefully take it to some awesome roads around the country. From this angle, you can also see these flares right here. You'll find these on both sides as well as an accessory light above there. Now, for a person my height, I could probably sleep in the back of a Sprinter van like this diagonally without a problem, but that allows you to sleep much more comfortably. Now, the ladder on the back here is actually movable, so you can pick this up and take it around to the other side if you want to. And we will climb up here to show you guys what we have going on the roof. So obviously there is a whole system of everything that you could possibly need up here. Right here is one of the options when you are purchasing one of these. This is of course an air conditioner. This is actually the only appliance that will not run off of just the house batteries of the unit. So if you're gonna run this thing in the summertime, you actually do have to be plugged in with that 30 amp plug that I showed you over on the side. Absolutely everything else that I show you in the unit will be powered by these right here, Zamp solar panels. You got 2 of them up here, 200 watts, and then to the left you will see a bathroom exhaust fan, and then right here is just a general exhaust fan. And I will show you guys that stuff a little bit more on the inside, and again, I will go over more of this stuff in a more technical video if that's something that you're into. Oh, before we go all the way down, one more thing is this right here. I'll show you guys what this does right now. There you guys have that. It's a 10-foot awning, which is super convenient. It has some lights built into it, which you obviously can't really see during the daytime. I'll pop up this picture right here. Looks super cool at night, especially with the underglow from the steps on the side. Again, all of these lights are powered by those solar panels that you just saw on the roof, and then it stores the energy in batteries underneath. This awning is as simple as you just saw it there. It's a flick of a switch. This thing will come out. You don't have to set anything up. If I want to put it away, simply click the switch again and it will retract. It also has an automatic wind sensor, which has already saved me. Thank God that's on there. Right now, there's obviously no breeze at all, but if the wind starts to pick up and it starts to move that awning around, it will actually automatically retract. I really recommend not putting that thing out unless it is completely calm, like you see it right here. With this awning popped out like this, it really makes this whole thing feel like more of a living style area. Maybe you want to have a rug in the back here and throw out like you see at like an RV park. This thing is basically a mini compact RV with all of the features that you could possibly want. Now, if I open the door here, you guys are getting a little bit of a sneak peek on the inside. We will get to that in a second, but there's also some cool stuff right here as well. If I reach right inside here, I can pull out this leg, screw this leg right onto these threads right here, pop up these tabs, and boom, you got an outdoor table right here. I've actually spent some time editing videos on this thing. I have a little folding chair in the back. And like I said, with a combination of that and all of the lighting out here, a table and a chair outside, it just kind of opens up the entire van. There's also a bug screen that you can put up on the door here if you don't want to have this just wide open like that. I actually have one installed in the rear and I leave that one there full time. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, just another super cool feature to kind of make this thing feel more like a home. Now also on the outside here, there are a lot of controls and some things that are more related to the RV aspect of things. I will save a lot of this for the technical sided video on how to actually use these systems. But basically over on the right side here, you have the winterization nozzle if you are actually going to be storing this thing. You have a fresh water dump if you need to get rid of any excess water. Right here is actually a spray nozzle and Winnebago provides you the hose that goes along with that. So next to that is where you have the hose fill if you want to fill up the freshwater tanks. Right now I actually have these empty because I just got back from a long road trip. So I will definitely be sure to fill that thing up in the future. Right on the side here is actually a gravity fill. So if you don't have access to a hose, but for some reason you have maybe like a gallon of water and you want to put it in the tank, you can simply fill that up with a funnel or anything else that you have lying around. And then on the side here are a bunch of different switches for a few different things. The one on the far left is for the accessory lights running underneath here. The middle switch is for the awning and awning light, so I will turn that off now. The bottom switch is for the entire coach system here, so if you are leaving this for an extended period of time, it is good to turn that off and save electricity if possible. It's basically like a light switch for an entire house, so as soon as you leave, you simply turn it off. The switch down here on the bottom is for an accessory light, which is now behind the door, and then on the right side here, this is how you retract the awning or put it out. So I'll simply tap this to the in, and now the awning will come back in. All right guys, now we're moving on to the inside, the driver's seat. This is what everything looks like, and I'm not gonna go over this too in depth. Up here I got a little magnetic phone mount because like I said, this whole head unit thing is super simple, but I just Bluetooth connect my phone and then I get all of my phone calls and messages as well as music and maps right here on my phone. This is a nice leather wrapped steering wheel, exactly what you would expect from Mercedes, obviously. You have your Euro headlight switch controls over here. Down here you have a battery booster. If for some reason the actual Sprinter van dies, you can press that while turning the ignition and it will draw power from the house batteries, which are obviously charging by solar right now. Over here in the center you got your shift knob, all of your controls for everything else, and they even include one of those little thingies, whatever this thing's called. Sprinter vans are obviously used as like delivery vehicles and cargo vans and stuff like that, so you can put stuff in there. Down here we got cup holders and an ashtray, which is kind of weird. I didn't really think that cars came with these anymore. You got a cigarette lighter, and then also there is a ton of storage up here. You got more cup holders and more stuff, USB ports and an auxiliary cable. A big open slot up here where I throw my sunglasses in Easy Pass, and then the same thing on the other side. Down in the side here you got some big door slots. In there is like a little road flare type of thing. It's like a battery powered blinky john. And then I also got gloves in there because I use gloves pretty frequently. Over on this side you got the same thing in that door, but in the bottom there is actually a little first aid kit, which is a nice touch. Underneath the passenger side you have some tools, and no one really cares about this stuff, so why am I even showing you? Now is when we are getting into the RV territory of things. First we're going to start right here with these seats actually. Folding armrest, super comfortable. I think the best way to do this right now is just to hand hold it. If I slide the seat all the way forward, I actually store my shoes underneath these seats here because there's a ton of room. Simply pull on this handle here and push the seat. This entire thing swings around and then it turns into basically like seating for the living room area. If I turn it all the way, it locks in place. Can slide it back, you're ready to chill. Now I'm gonna start the tour of the inside right here by the front door. This is obviously the sliding door here. You walk up the steps. I do have a mat because obviously I'm up in the mountains a lot and it does get muddy in here. So I legit take my shoes off at the door. Now you're basically going to see me turn this thing into like the living room area, or where I sit to edit videos and work, things like that. So as you can probably tell, there is a ton of room in here, especially when these seats are turned around. The driver's seat turns around just like you saw me do this one. Slide that forward. Again, I store shoes underneath the seats here. Storage is super important in a small confined place like this, and that deserves a video of its own, where I keep everything, all of my equipment and gear and things like that. So we'll cross that bridge in the future, but as you can see, this thing turns around, slides it back up against the driver's seat, and again, you're ready to chill. On this side over here, right behind the driver's seat, you will see this little folding table. This thing pops up from the bottom, folds out like that, and now you have a place to eat, to work. Like I said, this is where I edit my videos a lot of the time now. It's definitely perfect if you are rolling solo like myself, but at the same time, if I have anyone with me, 2 people can sit here and share a meal. You can actually safely bring 4 people around in here. Obviously you have the front 2 seats, and then this bench seat right here also has 2 lap belts. So there's enough room. I could probably see 4 people just kind of hanging out in here if the situation calls for that. Let me move you guys up just a little bit. Behind me right here, you can see got some patches stuck up on the headliner. You can obviously stand up in here, and I still have plenty of room. On some models you will see this with like a cabinet or storage bin. I prefer these little shelves right here. I currently just have some hats up here, but if this thing was closed off and turned into more storage, then it would feel a little bit more like claustrophobic in here. I love being able to pull over somewhere, park, and then literally turn my chair and just stand up right like this. Now this is the whole like living room, workspace, office, whatever you want to call it. As you can see, there is a ton of room in here, but one thing that I already love about working and doing everything from this van is that as I'm sitting here, I have access to literally everything. You have access to the kitchen stuff right here. You have access to the bathroom stuff right here, which I will show you in just a second. I have access to storage up here and back here, and it is just super easy to access everything. It may be sort of a lazy way to think about it, but I just love how everything is just right here within an arm's reach. Now, one thing that's cool about this whole setup is that wherever you park your van, like right now I'm up in the mountains, I have this huge, awesome view. The windshield on the Sprinter vans are super wide and it allows a lot of light in here. They do include some shades if you want to block those out at night, make it super dark in here, or maybe if you're at a campground or something like that. But for the most part, when I'm in here, I leave these things open because it just brings the outside in, obviously. This will probably be the scene for some future videos. Maybe I'll even do like some product reviews and stuff right here. If I bring you guys in a little bit closer, obviously it's gonna make it a little bit better, but yeah, this is the whole living room area. Behind me on the wall here is the entire control unit to basically control every single thing in the living portion of the van. A lot of that stuff I'm going to save for the more technical video, but I guess I will bring you guys in a little bit closer and we can go over just some of the features up here. Starting from the right hand side here, this is where you control a few things like your water pump. Press it to turn it on, press it to turn it off. Once you turn that thing on, there is water running throughout the entire cabin. That way you have access to use the toilet, the shower, the sink, and anything else that you might need. This shows your tank levels. Right now, the freshwater and gray tank are both on empty, like I mentioned, and then the far right one shows your battery levels of both the chassis, meaning the actual Sprinter van, and then the house batteries, which are both charging right now. Speaking of the charging, if we move over here, this is the Zamp solar unit. This really doesn't do a whole lot for you other than show you what the actual readings are. It will tell you when it's charging. It'll show you your battery status and the condition. If you end up swapping out the house batteries for some reason, you can change the battery type, but for the most part, it is just there to let you know what the van is actually doing. Down here is a switch for the water heater. If you are plugged into that 30 amp connection on the outside like I showed you, you can actually use this to power your instant water heater. A better way to do that, which I actually like, is over here, and we'll get to that in a second. To the left of that is the inverter. Press and hold that to turn it on. There are actually a lot of power outlets in this thing, one of them being right underneath the desk here. If you're sitting here on the bench seat working, editing on videos or something like that, down here you got 2 power outlets. Over here you got 2, you got 2 more over there. You got some in the back in the bedroom area. On the top here you have USB ports. You have USB ports in the back as well. You have some in the kitchen. What's cool about the USBs is that you actually do not have to have the inverter on for those to work. So at night you simply plug your phone in USB and it will charge. If you're going to be using any appliances or something that you actually plug into a normal wall outlet, then you simply just turn that on. Now moving up to the furnace and hot water system, this is where you control all of your heating. Again, this is something that I'm not going to go too into depth on right now, but basically when you turn this system on, it will be using the diesel from the actual tank of the Sprinter, and it will use a drip from that to actually heat everything up. Right here you have a thermostat. You simply turn that up to your desired temperature. You got a hot water switch right there as well, and then a fan control speed if you want to make it super warm in here. These bottom switches here are the lights, and I will set you guys back down to show you what all of those do. So for starters, this is with all of the lights off. Obviously you have a big window on each side here. You have the massive windshield and front windows up here, so there's a lot of light in here. You get light coming in through the exhaust fan as well as the back windows, and there is another window on that side of the bed. This first switch here is my favorite at night because it is not the most harsh of lights. It's like the mood lighting. Put that on and you got LED strips running underneath the cabinets on this side and on the kitchen side here. The middle switch is actually a rocker switch, so you can have it in the low or high mode. If you push it down, you have low. Right here you have these strip lights that run all the way from the back to the front, and then if I flick that on high, you get some pretty bright LEDs. There is another one of these switches found in the back here, right in the bedroom area. Down for low, up for high. And now you can see this thing is super lit up. The switch on the far right here is actually for a light inside the bathroom, which we will get into in a little bit. Now, like I mentioned, on this bench seat right here, it is actually super comfortable, and you have 2 lap belts. So if you want to have 2 people back here, You can do that relatively safely. Obviously, it's not going to be as safe as a dedicated shoulder strap, but you're kind of stuck with that. It's also good that this thing is comfortable because you can actually turn it into a tiny little bed if you are not comfortable with sleeping more than one person in the back here. This thing just pops off with some buttons. There's a little bit of configuration to do, which is kind of hard to show you guys, but this cushion comes off, you kind of set it over here, and then it turns into like a single bed. Now we're moving on to the kitchen area. Right over here, you have basically everything you could possibly need. Right here is a sink. This faucet pops up here, and you have both hot and cold water coming out of here for whatever you might need. When you store this thing away and put this down, you obviously have some more counter space here, and as well as this little pop-up on the side. I like cooking, although I've only done it once in this van, and after that experience, I'm probably not going to do it again. There is enough space to work around here, but when it comes to actually cleaning up and doing dishes in a little sink like this, it's not the most fun thing ever. Up here's a cabinet. Again, I'm not going to go through all of this stuff, but up here I got some food, some toiletries, and a bunch of random stuff. Red Solo cups. Sweet. Now this is probably easier if I just show you guys the rest of this stuff from a first person perspective. Right here underneath a gun cleaning mat is an induction cooktop. This thing draws the most power out of any of the appliances in this thing, so I really don't use that a whole lot. That's going to be added to the list of more reasons why I don't want to cook. It's just easier to buy stuff, man. I know I shouldn't be eating like fast food all the time. I try not to when I'm on the road. But yeah, that is there if you need to. It boils water super quick. One thing to note about this sink is that as it fills up, there is a little pump here. You simply press that and it will drain the water into the gray tank. Some people don't like that. I actually don't mind it. It's kind of nice when you are like washing things out in the sink. It helps you conserve water, and with the 21-gallon fresh tank in here, water conservation is definitely a big plus. Here you have a bunch of storage with the push button handles. I actually lined all of these drawers with some matting material. That will obviously cut down on the noise of everything bouncing around in here as you are driving down the road. All of these drawers are actually different sizes. The middle one here is the biggest. I have some cleaning supplies and whatever. Again, I'll show you guys more of this stuff once I do like a gear video. In the bottom, we got some tools, some knives, and some other things. Moving on to this little guy over here, we have a fridge with a locking latch. You want to make sure that thing is locked when you are moving around. On MTV Cribs, they always show the inside of it, so I might as well show you guys what I got in here. Of course, we got some Jägermeister and some Jameson. And then on the bottom, we got Strike Force, we have gummy bears, and we have some ketchup and mustard and leftovers. I should probably throw those away. Also up here, you have a freezer. I have ice cubes in here. It actually came with this little ice cube tray. This thing runs off of 12-volt power, and one thing that I noticed is that it works extremely well, almost too well. Nova Cool, you guys are making good products. I have this thing on the like number 2 coldest setting out of probably 10. If I had it up any past that, like 3, 4, 5, everything in there freezes. I had a whole case of water in there and it froze almost immediately. I guess that can be a good thing, so if you guys want to turn this into an entire freezer for frozen food, if you want to cook on the induction cooktop, that is something that you can do. One other quick thing to note on the side here with this little extension of the countertop, you can unlock this and put this down for some extra seating, or this is actually dedicated for turning this bench into a bed. So that is what that is for, and I really don't use it all that much. Now in the back behind the bench seat here, we're moving on to the bathroom. At the top here, there is a latch to keep this thing locked while you are moving on the road. Pop that open and you will see there is a master bathroom. I've been reusing shopping bags as trash bags, so I just keep that in here in case anything gets kind of stinky. Some people find it weird that the toilet and the shower are in the same room. This is super common in small RVs and boats and things like that, so it never really caught me off guard. You're obviously not going to be using those things at the same time, so it just works for me. It's fine. For the most part, when I'm on the road, I'm traveling and visiting friends and stuff all over the place, so I can use their showers and toilets if I need to. The way this thing works is pretty simple. There's just a flush button in the back there, a little indicator on the side to tell when it is getting full. I believe this is about a 5-gallon cassette toilet. You do your business, whatever you need to do. Like I said, I try not to use this as much as possible. When I'm out in the woods like I am right now, I will just go outside. But if you are going to use this thing, it is recommended that you use RV style toilet paper. This stuff will degrade quicker than some normal toilet papers, and yeah, obviously you want that when dealing with a tank like this. So you do your business, you simply slide this thing over, opens up, boom, you're good to go. Also with this toilet, it swivels if you want to actually like sit in here and close the door if you have other people in your van or something like that. So yeah, it's kind of cool how it swivels around. Down here you have the drain for the shower, so once you are actually ready to shower, right up here you have a curtain that buttons in place across the top. There's a bar up here which I remove when I actually shower and then put it back into place when I want my towels to dry, things like that. I put a little towel on the floor here and then the towel that I actually dry off with. And then right here, if you pop this up, that is that little black fan that you saw on the left side of the roof. Press this button and it will suck all of the moisture out of here. Now over here is the actual shower head. Right up here is that hook where I hung the trash on. This nozzle is removable for a reason, which I will show you guys once we get back to the bedroom portion. That sounds real weird, but just bear with me. This isn't the most low flow shower head ever, but it does have an on-off switch right here. So once you set the temperature, I basically turn it on, turn it off. Again, water conservation is super important. I've probably taken 7 showers in a row before I actually ran out of water completely. And the showers were actually not like super conservative. I would turn the water on, let it warm up and everything, and it wasn't like I was just on off with the water all the time. All of the water in this unit is actually heated with an instant water heater and it gets insanely hot. The adjustments for that stuff is found underneath the bench seat here, but I would recommend making sure it is not as hot as it can possibly go because I guarantee you it will burn you. The only other thing in here is this little door that is used to keep your body wash, shampoo, and stuff like that. The latch on here is really not good. It's kind of plasticky and cheap, but every once in a while my shampoo and body wash will come flying out of there if I'm driving off-road. So you may notice all of these little ledges in here as well. Another thing that you could use this for if you do not want to use it as a bathroom and a shower is you can use it as a wet storage area. So this whole area is going to be perfect for me during skiing season. Obviously when you come in, a lot of your clothing, your outerwear is going to be wet, especially your boots. So this comes with a bunch of bamboo racks, which I have taken out and I'm actually leaving out for a while. But like I said, if you don't want to shower or use this thing as a bathroom, you can just use it as another huge storage area. All of your wet clothing, your ski boots and everything, you can put it in here, turn this fan on, and it will hopefully suck all of that moisture up and out of here. Now I'll take this bar out for now and just stand in here so you guys can get an idea of how big or small this shower is. Obviously with the raised floor, you are losing a little bit of the height from obviously standing on the outside here. So now if I stand up really tall, my head can obviously touch the ceiling, but I mean, how much are you actually gonna use this? It definitely works for me. I was on the road for about 2 weeks and I used it a lot and it worked out just fine. It does make it a little bit hard to wash because there's not a whole lot of room. Kind of just have to like spin in place, and you guys don't want to see a visual of that. So yeah, that's the bathroom and shower. Now we're moving on back to where the magic happens. First, right here, got a little shelf. That thing is built in there. Put a hand cloth on there. Toiletries, phone cable. Right before here is my closet, which is what I'm calling it. Keep all of my clothing in here. Again, I'm not gonna unload everything, but it holds just enough for what I need. Now moving into the actual bed area, it is going to be a little bit difficult to show you guys this, but it is super comfortable. It's actually a slat style design, so if I lift up the mattress here, I store some more clothing underneath there. You will notice that there are some mechanisms in there, and we'll talk about that in a second. Got my pillows up here. I got this back pillow if you want to sit up at night and do some work. And then the window right here, these actually have some cool features, and I'll show you them actually out here on the bigger window. I'll start with this window close. If you open up all of these latches, you can actually latch it partway open if you want to have a little bit of air, but you want to have the security, so no one's going to be able to pull that open. And then these are on little hydraulic hinges, so you simply push it out till it clicks. There we go. Now when the window's open, if you don't want bugs to get in here, you simply pull down from the top and you get a bug screen. This is super important, especially when you're out in the mountains at night, you have lights on in here, bugs are going to try to get in. So having that is super convenient. And also, if you pull up from the bottom, boom, privacy. It's not completely dark, obviously, because you have little holes in there, but it is plenty dark enough that you have privacy. It'll keep it cool in here because it is reflective on the other side. And yeah, super neat design. Now back to the bedroom area. I'm actually gonna climb up in here and pop open this window. This thing is super nice when you're sleeping with your head right next to the window for some fresh air. Right here is that light switch, which is adjustable. Down here for the low mode. Again, strip lighting across the ceiling. pop it up and you are in the super bright mode. Up here is that AC unit, which you have to be plugged in for. You also have smoke detectors and stuff like that. I have not used this yet, and I probably never will, honestly, unless I actually go to like an RV campground. On the side here, you have reading lights. Those are actually super bright at night, so I don't really use those all that much. And then right up here, you have some USB power, a 12 volt connection right there. The fridge, by the way, is 12 volt. And then you also have these seatbelt looking straps here on each side, and all of this kind of like rigging here. You're probably wondering what that is for. If we go back out to the control unit here, you will see that this is actually a Euroloft bed. There's a little key that I can stick in here, press up and down, and it will actually move the bed all the way up to the ceiling right up here against the AC unit. What that does is it opens up this entire back here so you can access everything underneath the bed super easily. You could probably put a motorcycle in here, or definitely mountain bikes, possibly even like a small playboat, kayak, things like that. For me, I obviously have a lot of filming gear and firearms and things like that. Again, not getting into that until a future video. Oh, and my entertainment thing, which I did not show you guys yet, is this dumb little thing that I got on Amazon. I legit stick my phone in there just like this, and then I can position it however I see fit. And if you bring this thing close to your face, it almost feels like you have a TV in front of you. So yeah, that's what I do when I'm trying to just chill and relax. Now let me step outside and bring you guys around to the back to show you how much space there actually is back here. Now we're outside in the back again. Up top you can see that rear view camera. You can actually leave that thing on while you're driving, so if someone is tailgating you, or maybe if you're just kind of hanging out somewhere and you want to be able to see what's behind the van when you are sitting inside, that is a cool option. Now when I pop these doors open, you will notice that these things do stay in place. If I pop out these hinges, I can actually open it up almost all the way. It's like a 270-degree type of door. You do have to keep in mind though that if you open these doors up all the way, you have those flares on the side which give you more headroom and footroom inside the bed area. So you want to make sure that these doors are not slamming into the side of the van, especially this one because we have the ladder on there right now. Now like I mentioned, I have this bug screen in place all the time because I obviously don't want bugs coming in and out of there. But I sort of have it pulled to the side right now so you guys can get an idea of how much space you have in here and how much cargo capacity you actually have. Like I said, if I lift this bed all the way up to the ceiling, I could pretty much stand up underneath the bed. Might have to hunch a little bit like this, but you could fit a lot of stuff. On the doors here, what you see hanging down are actually blackout curtains. I leave the bottom buttons in place because I put these up a lot at night. There is some storage on the doors. I got some medical stuff over here for when I'm at the range. I got some ear pro, some other things. Now, if I bring you guys in here just a little bit, you will see that I have more than enough room for literally anything that I want to put in here. I have a mat down here right now because I don't want this stuff bouncing around. Some things that are heavy like the one wheel, maybe some ammo. Got a chair, RV accessories, a drone, camera equipment, basically everything that I need to work on what I'm doing right now. Now on the side here behind the bug screen, you will notice that there is another shower port here, both hot and cold water. That shower head is detachable like I mentioned because if you want to shower outside and then just have the water go into the ground rather than being stored in your gray tanks, that's another possibility. Up in an area like I'm in right now where it is just no one but myself, it's definitely a cool option. I don't know if I'll ever use that, but it's there if you need it. There are also tie down points here. There are 6 of them in the back of the van, so if you need to strap anything down, you do have that availability. On the right side here, you got more outlets if you want to charge a computer or maybe run a, I don't know, anything really, leaf blower. What would you plug in on the outside of the van here? And then of course you got more USB down here. I love the electricity in this thing. It is great, and I need a lot of that stuff for all of my cameras. All right, so there you guys have an overview of the adventure van. Like I keep mentioning throughout this video, there will be some follow-ups to a bunch of these different systems. I'll show you guys how different things work, like the water systems, all of the electrical, the bed, how it lifts up and down and things like that. But for now, I just wanted to get this out of the way. That way this will kind of cure your curiosity. Like I mentioned, if you guys have any questions at all, please let me know in the comments down below. And if it's good, I will try to answer it if I have the ability to. I really wish there was more content out there regarding the Winnebago Revel before I made my purchase. So I'm gonna step up to the plate and be that person. I'm going to try to make as much content around this thing as possible and hopefully help some of you guys out there if you are actually looking at purchasing something like this. If you're not interested in that at all, then I'm just gonna be kind of traveling around and doing some rad stuff and hopefully taking this thing to some very cool places. So if you guys want to see that stuff, make sure you're subscribed, turn on notifications if that is something that you're into. And if you want to see more behind the scenes pictures and videos and stuff like that, make sure to follow me over on Instagram. That's also a good place to see where I'm going to be at while I'm traveling. I really don't have like a dedicated schedule or a map planned out to hit different locations at this specific time. But for the most part, when I am not up here in the mountains filming and doing all of the normal stuff you see here on the channel, I'll be on the road in this thing, and I'm stoked. I'm glad that you guys are on board with it as well. Now let me know what you guys want to see next as far as this whole van series goes. Do you want to see everything that I have in all of the storage compartments in there? Should I do like a gear dump of all of the camera equipment and tools and stuff that I bring on the road with me? Do you want to see anything else more in depth, like maybe some maintenance stuff revolving the Sprinter van? As far as modifications go, I probably won't be doing a whole lot, but there is definitely a lot of aftermarket stuff out there for the Sprinters. The possibilities are pretty much endless. I kind of want you guys to direct where this whole series is going to go, so let me know what you want to see and I will try to make that happen as soon as possible. Man, that was a lot of talking. You guys are probably sick of this already, right? If you made it to the end of the video, I would appreciate a like. Thank you guys for watching as always, and I will talk to you in the next one.